Hi, this is Denise Matthew. Hope you're doing well. I'm back again for another week of transits to talk about what's happening in the sky and some energies that you might be feeling. I hope everybody did well with this week. It was kind of an interesting week, and I have to say that I definitely felt some of these transits that we moved through. Definitely the gate 19, I felt quite impacted by it, and I was conditioned by the gate 19. I don't actually have the gate 19 defined in my chart. So the reason why I say that is because if you don't necessarily have a gate defined in your chart, you might still feel some level of impact, because if you were conditioned by that energy, then you might actually have some sort of memory kind of thing that you'll feel when the energy is in the air, which it is right now because of Jupiter 19.3 as I'm recording this. And also the sun is in 19 line 3 as well. So those are the types of things, as well as if you have that gate, then the planet could be interacting with your chart as well. Or if you have the match to the gate, so you would have, for instance, if you have the 49, you could have a definite feeling of the energy as well. But again, even if you don't have any of these energies defined, just have a look, have a feel. And the one thing is that I can say is that since I've been sort of really tracking the energies of the sun and how the sun's moving and those types of things, I'm definitely starting to really connect with those energies, some more than others. I feel like the 41 not as much, but the 19 definitely more. So if you haven't already, definitely jump on board and check out the community tab too, because I do put a lot of information there, and I am sort of having a little write up about every line of the gate, so that if that's part of your body graph, you can use that to help you sort of decipher your body graph. We have a few movements this week. We did have the full moon past that we went through, and again, that was in the 19 and that type of thing. But for now, we've got a few things happening. We have Pluto moving into the line 6, which is going to be, I think, really impactful. I'm going to be interesting to see how it's going to shift things in the world. And it really is that pressure of trying to discover things and the knowing the unknowable, that I'm kind of excited to see how that's going to show up. As well as that, we have Mercury retrograde. So again, this sort of slowing down of the energy, this feeling of maybe going over things that you've already gone over. And Mercury is going to be retrograding at a few different gates. So those types of themes, that energy will be sort of repeating. So with that said, let's get into the transits and see what's happening for the week. We talked a lot about the sun moving into the gate 19 last week. So right now, as I speak, it still remains in the gate 19. It actually just had a total conjunction with Jupiter just yesterday, and where it was extremely close as you could get. And it was in conjunction line 2. And now it is in the line 3. Ultimately, every line we go through with any type of energy is going to give a different theme to that energy. The overall theme is the same, but we just kind of go into more of a just a more specific theme. So first line is foundation, second is being called out for something or some level of projection, third is always going to be some level of experimenting with the energy. The fourth is that you've already got a foundation and you're sort of more influential because you're fixed in your ideas and what you sort of plan to do with that energy. When we get to the fifth line of any gate, we always have the most exemplified energy. So it's going to be potentially the highest form of this energy. And then the sixth line is already looking at the next gate of the mandala, so that we know that it's moving into a new energy. And it's also more about, the line 5 is more of a sort of teaching and projection of this energy of kind of letting people know what it's about, whereas the sixth line is no longer about teaching. It's all about being that energy, and by being that energy, you're an expression of that energy, and you're giving some level of, I guess, leading by just being who you are ultimately. So these are the kinds of energies that we're going to find with all of these gates. And when you step into those energies and see exactly where they are, especially in your own body graph, it will really help you sort of connect with how you process the energy of that gate, because somebody who has the gate 19 in line 2 as opposed to somebody who has it in line 4 might have a very different experience of the energy of what that exactly means. So the line 2 is all about service, or this calling to be of service to people. And then when we talk about the line 4, we're talking about the team player. The line 2 is called service. So the line 2 is being called into service. Now, when we had Jupiter in the line 2, that was an exaltation, because people have asked, what does that mean when you have an arrow up or down beside the planet? That means exaltation. So when we see an arrow up, that means it's in its highest expression in that particular line, that particular planet. And when we have the arrow down, it means it's in detriment. So it's not being its best self, you could say. So when we talk about the 19 line 4, we're talking about somebody who knows what they want to do. They're out there working, they're doing the things that they want to do. And they sometimes may be so caught up in their own process of what they're doing and how they're doing, they're expecting everybody to sort of be on the same page as them. And that's not necessarily always going to be the case with this energy. So if you can imagine that you have completely different energies that are coloring or flavoring the theme of the sensitivity. And because of that, you could have someone who is extremely sensitive, who's extremely in tune to life and those types of things, and then somebody who doesn't feel that sensitivity as much. They're more withdrawn from it. For instance, if you get into the 6th line, there could be this detachment from the sensitivity. I'm not saying it's not there, but it may not be as big of a theme. So those are things to keep in mind. And as I said, if you want to check out the community tab, I do have a lot of information there that will be helpful for you to decipher your own body graphs and your energy, and just to feel into it, type of thing. So basically, the sun is in the gate 19 now. February 2nd, we're moving into the gate 13. The gate 13 is all about the stories. Now, when we talk about the gate 13, it is combined with the gate 33. Now, the gate 33 is a throat energy. If you look at the body graph, if we look at the gate 13 here, you could see that it's in the G center, and then the gate 33, you can't see it, it's not actually defined here, but the gate 33 is actually in the throat center. So we have this energy of the gate 13, which is all about the listener, listening to the stories of what people are saying to you. And then the gate 33 is about maybe talking about these stories or expressing these stories so that the history can be written. So if we think about the gate 13 and the gate 33, this is our line of history, and it is a collective energy. So we're talking about the history of humanity. The reason why we don't have to start from scratch, right, every sort of generation, is because of this energy, is because we have learned, on a very collective basis. We have learned from other people because we have kept records. We have written down the stories. We have written down the ways and the history of humanity. And because of this, we don't have to go back to the Stone Age. We can advance and continue to move forward. And this is what this energy is all about. It's all about advancing. It's all about moving forward. It's all about getting that next level of humanity. And you do it by listening to people, getting their stories. And now more than ever in the whole world, because of the internet, because of the connection of the web, we have this ability to listen to stories of people that we will never meet, that we will never know. And yet we know their stories. And for this reason, this can be helpful. So for instance, you see a lot of these stories where you see somebody who they have some unusual health thing that will happen. And it's not something that's well known. And they'll talk about it to they'll put it on Facebook, or they'll put it on whatever social media that they want to, and then other people will read it, and then maybe that one out of 1,000 people will say, oh, I have that too, maybe I should go to the doctor and get that checked, or something like this. So because of the story of somebody else's life is shifted considerably. This is the listener part. So we could say that the listener part is actually incorporating this energy, hearing this energy, and then it goes to the 33, where they reflect on the energy, which we talked about last week. They reflect on the energy, and then they go, okay, what can I put in my memory? What is important? What do I need to keep? And then eventually give it to other people. So there's a lot of deep energy with the gate 13. I will be going through, as I say, the lines of each different line and what it means, and that will be on the community page. So something to keep in mind, this is our main gate this week to really connect with and see what's happening. And right now, the only energy the only planet that is in the gate 13, I think this is the cleanest planet, and I say that in a joking way. It's not that it's dirty, but the cleanest expression of the energy. There are no other planets in this energy right now that we can actually that will actually in any way change it. Because when we had the gate 41, there was Saturn. The gate 13 is on its own. Jupiter will follow eventually, but for now it's alone. So let's step into the energy, see what it feels like. So right now the Earth is in the gate 33. We talked about that. That's that reflection and this connection with history and this connection with memories and ideas, and trying to decipher what you've heard on the internet, what you've heard from people, what's important, what can I keep within me, and maybe eventually tell other people in the future because it's some level of value. There's a need to sort of draw in on yourself potentially, for you to have some level of privacy, to be alone, to be kind of, away from the fray of things, which I talked about with the full moon. When we go to February 2nd, moving into the gate 7, which is all about discipline, this is the energy of the army. This is the energy of the support for the leadership. We talked last week about the leadership, which is the gate 31. This would be the match. The leadership was a dolphin. The leadership was talking about everybody being important. In that leadership is a democracy. It is the truest of all democracies, where everybody is counted, but you still do have a leader who is actually helping to guide the army, which would be, or the discipline, guide the army of the gate 7. And the gate 7 is the army. They're the support. The gate 7 is all about investing in the right leader, investing in the leader that is looking out for the whole army, who is looking for the best interest of the army. And when you find them, you actually push your energy or your support to that leader. If we look at this image, we see a bee, and the reason why we have a bee is because it is a symbolic of a beehive. Within the beehive, you have a queen bee. The queen bee is special. It is fed the most important royal jelly. It's cared for. What it does is it actually supports the hive in that it procreates, and because of that, it's one of the most important instrumental parts of the whole hive. But alone, the queen bee is of no value. The queen bee cannot even take care of itself. So it has to be cared for by bees, or worker bees, or whatever, have to take care of that queen bee. And if they don't, the queen bee will die, and the whole hive will die. So ultimately, yes, there is a leadership, but there is the army that is supporting that leadership. If the queen bee suddenly can't do its job anymore, it can't have any more offspring, then they have to get a new queen bee. And this is what this energy is about. You support the leader that is going to be the best leader for the army, or the best leader for in general. So this is a kind of energy that will be grounded in who are you going to support as a leader, always being just not supporting the leadership because it feels like, oh, it's the right thing to do, everybody's doing it. You are dedicated to the leadership in that you actually believe in this leadership, as opposed to just sort of throwing in your talent, saying, oh yeah, well, whatever, whoever is the leader, this is who we're going to support. So again, who is the best leader in whatever? What are you going to do to continue to support them and allow them to do their job? So what this is saying is that we have potential to be really looking at the leaders who are trying to lead us, really kind of saying, okay, are you fit for the job? Are you the person who is best for us? And if you're not, maybe you need to be replaced. That is a potential that we will be looking at this week. So now we get into Mercury and its retrograde, and we know that Mercury is going to be in the gate 30 for a fair bit, a little bit longer, just because it did go retrograde, and when it does, it slows down in its speed. Mercury is all about communication. It's about media. It's about what we hear on the news, what we hear from people. It's about what's happening in your local community, those types of things. So, and it's a very fast energy. It's a cerebral energy, or it's all about ideas and thoughts and those types of things. We do have it connected to the gate 41. We have so we do have it in the gate 30, which is all about holding on to ideas, holding on to dreams, to things that we want to bring into the world. And we have Saturn and we have Mercury. They're in a complete channel now, making the 4130, which is an emotional channel. So now we have an emotional component to this energy that says, I want to get these big dreams, these big things happening. When we add this emotional component to it, we get the whole idea of clarity being even more of a theme, something that we really need to pay attention to know that, okay, if the energy is not correct, if it doesn't feel right, then maybe it's not the time to try and push forward with the ideas or the inspirations that we're working with. And when it does feel like a better time, if we feel better about it, then that's another sort of hint that will say, yes, this is a time to push forward with this. So this is the emotional component that we're now adding into the mix. Whereas before 41 was just on its own, now we have the gate 30 connecting with it, bringing a full channel until February 4th. So there could be like this push pull of when will I start to move forward, because Saturn always wants you to take your time, to slow down, to not cut corners, to go and do all the work you need to do before you move on to the next step. That's the kind of energy. And Mercury's a very, if you think about Hermes or Mercury was a messenger that went very fast. So you have one energy that's wanting to move very fast, and then you have the energy of take your time, slow down, that type of thing. So there could be, like I said, a little bit of a push pull, an emotional component to this energy of what you want to bring, these big inspirations that you might have been thinking about for a while. And you just want to drive forward. You just want, because Mercury is pushing to drive forward. Again, gate 30 can be about burnout, which we talked about before. So when it's in Mercury, it's burning out people with your words, burning out people with your ideas, always saying, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then people just get tired of it. They don't want to hear it anymore. So to kind of keep that in mind, that yes, your inspirations, yes, your dreams are super important, but sometimes you don't always have to talk about them. Sometimes you can just hold still on them and silently or quietly be doing your own work, and not necessarily have to bring anybody into the circle until later on when and if they are needed. On February 4th, we're going to move into the gate 49. Mercury will be moving to the gate 49. Now we have this energy of revolution. The gate 49 is the match to the gate 19. So we're going to have this energy, again, a full channel, which means between Jupiter and Mercury, we have a full channel, the 1949. This is all about needs and supporting the needs and supporting the needs for all the things that we need as humans. This is tribal energy. It's extremely powerful energy. This is, let's get the things we need for our tribe. Let's get the things that will support us. And if we are not getting supported, what are we going to do to shift the energy to make those things available so that everybody is cared for, everybody has their needs met? When we talk about the gate 19, Ra-Uru said that if the gate 19 is all about this level of, if it were satisfied, all the needs were satisfied of all the people, and everybody had a fair amount of resources that they could have to survive, and there was no accumulation or hoarding of resources and money like there is in the real world, then we would have peace because everybody would be supported. And this is the energy that talks about that. So when you're not supported, you revolt. And this is what this energy is talking about. When we talk about Mercury, we're talking about people talking about revolutions, people talking about pushing their agenda, people talking about, let's get what we need for our people. Like, I'm not feeling like I'm being heard here. I want to have something. I want to, and we think about the gate 19 is coming from the root center. The gate 49 is coming from the emotional center. So we have a pressurized emotional energy, which is pressurizing people to move, to revolt, to change the status quo. But again, it's all about clarity. How can we make those big changes? How can we make the changes we want to humanity to get a better tomorrow, a better future, if we're going to just revolt and really not have a game plan, right? Because that can happen. This frenzy of energy just wants to just get out there and do something, and anything is better than nothing. And when it gets to that point, it's just a waste of energy. And then there's potential for your tribe or the people that support your shift or your revolution to get in harm's way. But when you are actually taking the time to have these revolutionary ideas and concepts of what you want to bring into the future, then it's going to be a well-laid plan, and it's the right revolution. It's the right way to shift the reality of the world, as opposed to just shifting anything in particular. This is innovative energy. This is energy that's bringing brand new ideas, amazing, cool ideas. Again, it's all about clarity. It's all about timing. If we're pushing ahead and it's not happening the way we want to, there could be an anger involved or frustration. And yet, if we hold back and take our time and wait for right timing, wait for our ideas to be called out, or wait for the right timing for us to push the change, then the potential for change is incredible. So that's what it's all about. It's the right revolutions, the right ideas. And sometimes this energy can be about saying no when you should say yes, just to make a point, and that may not necessarily be to your best interest. Are you saying no to things that you possibly are you should be saying yes to, or even thinking about it? If we look at Venus, Venus remains in the gate 60, and we know all about the gate 60. It's this pressure to have some level of limitation. It could be limitation on money, how much money we're spending, the resources, limitations on women, limitations on the luxuries of our lives, limitations on the things that matter to us. This is going to be moving out. We're going to have no energy in the gate 60. So there's potential for this to be a gate 60 free for a little while, which is kind of fun. So we have on February 3rd, we have Venus moving into the gate 41. We're aware of the gate 41, and in sort of, we've talked a lot about it. It is this fantasy inspiration. This could be more fantasies to have more money, to have more luxuries, to have more beautiful things in life, the things that we really want. We could be more inspired to do beauty treatments or improvements in how we look, those types of things, kind of those expressions of feeling better about ourselves. Maybe we've been dressed up in casual clothes for a long time, and maybe there's this energy that people want to start making themselves look more beautiful. This could be sexual energy. This could be sexual fantasies, because within the fantasy, there's always going to be some sexual component or potential for a sexual component. So this could be more of those sexual fantasies. Right now, we have Mars in the gate 2, which is all about direction. Anything with Mars is always going to be about this sort of aggressive push, or this drive, or this assertiveness / aggressiveness. It really depends upon on the high side or the low side. This is a good general. This is the general that takes care of his people, or this is a general that forces people to do his bidding. And so that's what Mars is about. This can be about physical activity. It can be about a masculine energy, or a little more, a less of a softened energy, as opposed to Venus, which is more of a feminine energy, is a more softened energy. Mars is all about, in the gate 2, is all about finding your direction, finding a new direction, finding the way that you want to go, getting on the right path for where you want to go in your career, your life, or whatever really matters to you. This could be finding a new direction in something physical, where you're doing a physical activity or a new physical activity routine, new exercise, new programs, exercise programs. A lot of people drop off at the end of January because they start with a New Year's resolution. But with Mars in the gate 2, there could be potential for you to have a new direction where you want to go with your physical activities, those types of things. And it's not necessarily happening this week, but I'm just going to talk about it because just to show you where the energy is going to be moving. On February 13th, we have the energy for, we have Mars moving into the gate 23. The gate 23 is a very mutative energy. And when we talk about the gate 23, we're talking about having these really far-reaching and innovative ideas. And this is bringing voice to those far-reaching, innovative ideas. So anybody who has a hanging gate 43, this might be a nice energy for you to start to, when asked for, because of course, this is always coming from the ajna. And because there's no motor, it's always going to be something that is going to be better responded to based on if you're asked for the information, as opposed to just blurting it out. So this could be starting to articulate those innovative ideas, or coming to some idea of exactly how you're going to make those big innovative ideas come together. So this is bringing the added piece of, okay, I want to bring something brand new and very innovative into the world. And I've been thinking about it for a while. Now, this is giving you the extra impetus to push it through. And even if you have a full channel, because it is Mars, there could be more of a drive to actually get those innovative things, to bring them into reality, rather than just thinking about them and hoping for them to come into fruition. And again, this is all about timing. So this is about explaining what you want to do with as few words as possible. And that is the way you have the most impact on telling people where your innovations or where your dreams want to go. And because of that, it's all about I guess if you think about Mars, you could think of it as a sharp energy, something that's very quick and to the point, and this would match up nicely with this energy, where you would be quick to the point, say, "This is what I tangibly want to bring into the world. How are we going to have it happen?" Again, because it's Mars, there could be this idea that you push through and start blurting out things and not necessarily wait to be asked for the information. So something to think about, that if you're blurting it out, you may necessarily not get the right response that you really want, or the other options that people might even sort of take your ideas and take off and enjoy them on their own and not really have you involved in it at all. So if you do have these big ideas and these big, far-reaching, innovative ideas, then it's really important to have right timing, because they're your ideas and you really do want to have them work for you as opposed to somebody else. Jupiter remains in the gate 19. It moved in to line 3 just today, which is all about experimenting with the energy of the sensitivity, experimenting with. When we look at Jupiter, we're talking about a big energy of expansive energy. We're talking about laws, we're talking about religion, we're talking about money or resources, those types of things. And we are anything there, anywhere that Jupiter goes is going to be expanding. Now we get it to line 3. This is about where people are looking at who is supporting me and who isn't supporting me. In other words, if you're in a relationship or you're in a partnership or you're in some kind of a give and take energy with somebody else or some company or some entity, and you just don't feel that you're getting back what you're putting into the company, or the other option is that maybe you're getting too much and you're not putting enough into it, then there could be some energy where people are saying, okay, we don't want to work with you anymore, or you could be saying the same thing. So you're sort of looking at who is towing the mark, who is putting their energy into it as well, instead of just take kind of thing. And when you're seeing that type of thing, you could see people in the world stage, you could see people letting go of like people being fired from their jobs because they're not holding up their end of the bargain, or they're not holding their end of the deal up. They're not supporting the way they're meant to, or people leaving companies because they don't feel like they're supported. So those are the types of energies when we talk about the line 3. When we get to the line 4, we're really talking about this a lot of drive to do the work, to get those resources to people, to get the tribe fed, to get people what they need. So a lot of people are doing a lot of work and they're trying to get it all done, but what you can sometimes have is you have people who are expecting so much from other people and just not getting what they expect. So in other words, with this energy, always meet people where they are as opposed to where you want them to be, and it will work easier for you. Otherwise, then there could be some issues with people not feeling appreciated, or feeling that you're too aggressive, and because especially if you want to get your job done and they're just not doing it as fast as you want them to, there could be some level of frustration. So kind of coming back and saying, okay, let's give everybody the space where, allow them to be where they are, because ultimately that's where they are, and you can't change somebody else. You can only change your experience or your reaction to who they are, or the way you treat them, type of thing. And when we get to the line 5, this is the highest energy. The line 5 is always going to be the most exemplified energy of the gate. When we get to the line 5, the 19, we're talking about a sacrifice. Now, this is a projection energy, because anything with the line 5 is some level of projection. When you have this in your body graph, people expect you to sacrifice a lot, even though you may not necessarily want to do that, but it's an expectation, because it's a projection energy. So the thing about this is, yes, you will always have some level of sacrifice that is required because of this gate. That's what Ra Uru said. But the key with it is this: when you sacrifice, it's about the right sacrifices. What matters to you? Where do you want to sacrifice? Where do you want to put your energy? If it's something that is not so important to you, then just pull back and then do the right sacrifice that works for you. Get in the right projection field. Get with the people who see you for what you actually want to give. This other aspect is that sometimes there's this sacrifice where people expect you to work without getting paid, or to do things without getting paid, and being clear about that communication, saying, no, I need to be paid for the work that I'm going to do. And yes, sacrifice, like I said, is it's wonderful, and it can be called for in many occasions. But if it's always being called for, then you're going to be drained, and it's not going to be beneficial for you or anyone else. How much are you sacrificing to, to make other people happy, and really drawing it in and saying, okay, I need to be true to myself as well. Saturn is in the move to line 5 on February 5th. This is where I say the rubber hits the road, where you're actually starting to really get some teeth on the ideas or the inspirations that you want to bring in. You're holding on to them. Something is really kind of taking some real concrete idea of exactly what you want to do and bring, and what you want to bring into this world. That it may not just appear overnight, because this kind of energy never does, but you're just getting more clear, a lot more clarity on exactly where you want to go with it, what you want to do with it. The nodes remain the same. I talked a lot about them. It's all about this, like I said, for the gate 26, we might be seeing people who are being called out for not exactly doing what they're meant to do, or maybe taking advantage of people, and not being in their integrity, or we could see them being called out for their integrity. The gate 45, we could see leaders being called out for not being the leaders that they're supposed to, for not taking care of their people. Or we could also see leaders who are being called out or projected on, or being seen for their great leadership skills. Uranus remains in the gate 27, line 6. Again, this is energy of caring, but also understanding that you expect people to show you their plan, their direction, and only if they show some level of reciprocation will you actually start to care about a cause. So in other words, this is a time to be searching for those people who truly have good intentions in mind, and when you see them, and when you see the energy of people who have good intentions, then those are the ones that you can support. But other than that, you may be a little bit cynical about who is actually in it for themselves, or who is in it for, the whole collective, and trying to help the world, because we do have Uranus as a big energy. It's a generational energy, or an energy that is talking about the world. And so it's going to be sticking around until the 2nd of March, and then it will move into the gate 24, which we'll talk about when it does. Neptune remains in the gate 22. We talked a lot about that, and it won't move into line 4 until the 17th. We'll talk about it then. But it's just this if anything I can say about this energy, and I'll repeat it every week, is it's about creativity. It's about expressing yourself creatively. And when I talk about creativity, it's always going to be about you directing your energy in the places that make you feel happy, whatever that is. So that is your creativity, whatever it is. If it's stamp collecting, if it's walking, you're directing your energy in a place that makes you happy. And right now, more than any time, this is a time to really focus on allowing our energy to be. Somebody said this the other day, and I thought it was like really nice, where they said, before you go to work and you start working on other people's goals, take time for yourself. Have as much respect for your time, for your goals, for your ideas, for what you want to do in your life, as you would for your work, because that's what we sort of lose in the equation. We always are directing our energy to so many other people. It could be work, it could be children, it could be relationships, it could be so many other things. And yet when it comes to time for ourselves, we just say, oh well, we're fine. But that's not necessarily true. This is an individual energy. This is an energy that says you are important. You need to have that energy and direct it at whatever you want. If it's your goals, if it's exercising, if it's preparing a nice meal that you feel good about, those are all creative expressions of you, and just saying that you're just as important as everybody else. And then we have Pluto, which is moving finally to the line 6 after a very long time on February 8th. This is where I feel we're going to have more clarity. This is where I feel like we're going to start getting the answers that we want to. The thing about the line 6 is that before you get to the line 6, we have Pluto, which is going to be exalted in this energy. We have Pluto that's saying, okay, you have all these ideas, you have all these inspirations, you have been getting some downloads, because ultimately Pluto is always going to leave a seed. It is a very influential energy that goes through every gate and never leaves it the same after it goes through. And so it's leaving this gate It will come back, of course, but it's leaving this gate with a seed that's saying, okay, we have a mutation on the mental energy. We have a mutation on the mental plane, the way we conceptualize things. And what is that mutation? And so, can we see something new? So, how are we changing our thoughts? How has this shifted us? Now, this may be the time where we'll start to see some really inspirational changes or some really interesting changes that will show something new, something brand new that we haven't seen, some way of thinking, some way of conceptualizing things that we've never thought of before. So that's something to look forward to. And finally, we have the Chiron in the gate 17. It remains in the line 3. Again, this is opinions. This is about experimenting with ideas, experimenting with how we express ourselves. And so this is, again, there's this emotional part of anything that's in Chiron. It's always going to be some level of a hurt or a wound. And this is the opinions. And if you're not waiting your turn, then this could be a time when things could be a little bit emotional for you, or it could be hurting for you. So in other words, holding on to your opinions or not reacting to other people's opinions and allowing them to sort of say their piece if they need to, and not reacting to what they are. If somebody says something that you don't agree with, fine, that's their business. It's not your business to change anybody's mindset or how they think about things. It is your business to keep your own beliefs and to stay true to those, but not necessarily have to change anybody else, because everybody is entitled to what they believe. If somebody wants to have an opinion that you have, then they'll ask for it, or you can ask them, do you mind if I tell you what I think about it? And if they're open to it, yeah, absolutely, they'll listen to you. And if they're not, then respect them. And when you do that, you're not getting hurt, they're not getting hurt, and it just makes life easier, because right now in the world that we're living in, it's all about opinions and everybody's right and that type of thing. So that's the end of it for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be back again next week. If you haven't joined the experiment with the mandala of life, please join, because it's a fun experience, and I hope everybody is well, and I will see you again next week. Take care. Bye for now.